There's a ton to go over in this video. I have 4 slips for you guys to celebrate 4,000 subscribers. I appreciate all the support on the videos recently. So hopefully I can cash you guys out tonight. But first, of course, recap last night's picks. Went 2-2 here, so nothing impressive, 50% on the day. We'll get onto the board to try to recover from that. So we're going to start it off right away in the NBA. Tonight, Indiana versus Boston. Tyrese Haliburton is still a game time decision. We don't know if he's going to play, but if he does play, I'm liking the under on his points, rebounds, plus assist prop. I feel like a lot of you guys are probably on this. Of course, it's always good to bet on injured players, especially if they're going to return with limited minutes. We all know Haliburton's average kind of dipped off after his first injury. This injury he got last game is the same one as last time. He kind of just re-aggravated it. So tonight, I'm liking the under 29.5. Points, rebounds, assists. And I'll show you the juice on 2 sportsbooks. So 29.5, as you see on Pinnacle, does have juice towards the under. Nothing crazy, but minus 120 on the under. Then Bet365 has more juice on his under at minus 130. Now, the reason I like Haliburton is because I will be stacking him, as I always do, with Aaron Naismith on his over 11.5 points. So already this is a pretty good play. I'll show you the juice in a second. But the reason I'm liking this even better, with the potential that Tyrese Haliburton does not play tonight, because if Haliburton does end up being out, Naismith is just going to get bumped to 12 points or 12.5. So all that's going to happen is we're going to get a DNP on Haliburton. We're going to capture the value right now before Haliburton is announced out, so we can lock in Naismith at 11.5 rather than all the people that might get him later at 12.5. if they see Haliburton is out. So that's exactly why we're going for the over. Good potential to kind of lock in that value. Also, there's the fact that if Tyrese Haliburton does play, he might be on some limited minutes. Naismith is probably going to get more minutes. And of course, with Naismith going over his points, it's less likely that Haliburton's also kind of having a standout game where he's dropping a lot of points. So there's that inverse correlation between these players. If one's going over the points prop, it's less likely that the other one is also going over the points prop. And the reason I didn't go for Tyrese Haliburton's points is because he did get bumped. He was at 16.5. I did lock him on the Discord at 16.5 on his under, but at 16 I don't like it. I prefer to go to his points, rebounds, assists, and as I showed you guys, pretty decent juice on that. And there's all those other factors that I just went over that does look good for us. Now, Naismith's points does have juice towards the over at minus 122. And again, if we check on Bet365, you're also going to see juice here. It's good to get multiple data points to see if the juice is actually towards the over, which is just one sportsbook slipping up. So Naismith over 11.5 at minus 125. As for Haliburton's actual 29.5 points, rebounds, assist mark, obviously it's a bit lower. Pretty sure Haliburton's point line was all the way at 19.5. His PRO was probably like 33.5, 34.5. It's all the way at 29.5 now. So there could be concerns. Okay, well, if he does play and he is fit, isn't this a bit too low of a line? And honestly, I don't think so. Even when he was fit in these past 4 games here, so May 21st to May 14, he didn't clear it versus the Knicks. He only got 20 here. He barely got it in that other game at 30. And then the past 2 games before the injuries where he cleared it easily. But that's just the past 5. If we take a deeper look, in these games where he didn't get like 35, 34 points, obviously he's going to clear his points rebound assist line. But something like this, even in a game like this, 28 minutes, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, he just barely cleared that line at 31 PRA. Then if you look at game 1 in the Knicks series, he only got 16 PRA here. And again, in the Bucks series, he didn't clear it that easily. 33 here, 26 here where he didn't clear it at all. 32 here. This was obviously a very good game where he crushed it, but then this game here, he didn't get it. Even when he was fit, it's not like he was clearing this line super easily every single game. So I'm definitely liking it even better tonight where he's in a situation where he might not even be fit enough to play. So imagine he does play on some limited minutes. That is going to be amazing for us. So to finish the slip off, I'm going to go over to the MLB, and the other slips are actually going to have some WNBA in them too, as well as some darts. I'm bringing in darts into the equation for tonight's video. So let's just start with this MLB here, complete the slip, and we'll get on to the next one and the next one and the next one right away. So let's go over to the Phillies. We're going to grab Bohm on his over 2.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. And as always, we're going to be stacking this with another player from the Phillies. That's going to be Real Muto here on his over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but for anyone new, the reason you'd want to do this is because these guys are close to each other in the batting order. We got Remuto batting second. We got Bohm expect to be batting fourth. Hopefully they do actually both play tonight and stay close to each other in this batting order, because the idea is if Remuto's getting on base, maybe Bryce Harper's also getting on base, Bohm has the ability to run both of those guys in. Maybe Bohm gets a run in that play, Remuto gets a run, they both get hits. It's basically a lot of opportunity for both these guys to cash hits, runs, RBIs within a single inning because they're batting next to each other. So whether it's Bohm running in, Remuto in, or maybe Remuto and Bohm both getting on base and then Stott runs them both in, there's just so much potential to rack the hits, runs, RBIs together. Together is the key word here. That's why we're putting these guys together within the same entry. It wouldn't make sense to take Bohm in one entry and then Remuto in the second one. You might as well stack them together in the same entry, because if one goes over, it's more likely that the other one goes over. And I'm going to apply this same exact concept to the other slips too. So that's the only time I'm going to explain it, but I will show you the juice on these specific players and why I'm targeting these guys. We're going to see Bohm with juice towards the over at minus 125. That's great to see. The higher the minus, the more likely it is to occur. Then the second play is Real Muto here, minus 125, juice towards the over once again. So not only do they both have juice towards the over, they're both correlated together. So there's a higher probability that they hit within that over direction. Bryce Harper was who I initially wanted, but I believe they changed him into a goblin pick at minus 130. So I'm not really liking that. Anyways, this is going to be the first slip. Let's get right into the second one right away. over in the WNBA. I'm going to be grabbing another stack here, and it's a similar concept to what I was going for with Tyrese Haliburton and Naismith. We're going to grab Arike on her under 25.5 points. And what I want to do here is stack another player from her team on their over points. So in this case, it's going to be McCohen on her over 13.5 points. How does this make sense? I'll just show you with the game logs. Maybe it's easier to see it visually. The other games are preseason games, which you could see Arike only cleared this line in this fourth game right here. And we go over to McCohen. You're going to see the complete opposite. When Arike cleared her line in this game right here, McCohen only dropped 4 points, and then the opposite. She got green and green in games 3 and 5, compared to Arike, who was red and red in those two respective games. So the idea is if Arike is going under her points, we want McCohen to kind of cut the slack of Arike and go over her points. And it just makes sense in basketball. You're not going to see a bunch of players all go over their points props unless they're literally the only two players scoring on the team. It's normally one player is kind of popping off, and then the role players are getting around their lines. Like for example, you could probably do the same thing with Copper and Diana. I didn't look into their lines, but you could probably go with Copper on her under points and then Diana to cut the slack and go over that 15.5 points. You can see same inverse correlation. If Copper's going under her points, Diana could go over her points. But obviously I'm not going with that for the video, but I'll show you I'm going for this specific stack. And again, it's because of the juice. So I don't really make stacks unless I'm looking at the juice first. I did have juice on her under 25.5 points at minus 130. So that's the first thing I saw. And then I said, okay, if Arike is going under her points, who am I thinking is more likely to go over points? And of course, McCohen was the only other one on the Prizepicks board, but it works perfectly as I showed you with the graphs. Obviously, that's just 3 games, but that relationship kind of holds throughout basketball in general. But you could also see she does have juice towards the over at minus 120. So it's perfect to see Arike has juice towards the under, McCohen has juice towards the over. Perfect stack here. And we're going to finish it off once again with some MLB. We'll go over to the St. Louis Cardinals this time. We're grabbing Nootbaar on his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. And we're stacking this up with Arenado on his over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. Again, these guys are close to each other in the batting order. Same exact concept to the Phillies of why I'm taking them. But also the juice is important. This pick is worse than Bohm and Realmuto. You can see those guys are both minus 125, but Nootbaar and Arenado here only minus 120. But that's still juice and more favorable towards the over, so we stack them on that double over. So that is going to be the second slip. Let's get into a third one. We'll start this third one with a stack over in Arizona, and we're going to grab over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs on Suarez, and over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs on Moreno. Again, let's look at the juice. You know why I'm taking these guys already. I'm not going to explain it. Moreno has juice towards the over at minus 135. That is looking very, very nice for us. And Suarez also has juice towards the over at minus 130. So this is the best MLB stack yet out of the other two I just showed you because they have the most juice towards the overs. And again, that's why we're not going under because we're getting plus 100 on each side. That means it's not likely to happen. We want to be on the over and stack these guys together within the entry. That's the first stack of the entry. Now I'm going to go over the darts. I'm not going to get into too much detail of why I'm taking these guys, but all I'm going to tell you is Ross Smith under 3.5 180s thrown, and then Dimitri Vandenberg under 2.5 180s thrown. So that is 2 darts plays for you right into this entry. Maybe you're not going to trust the slip. Absolutely fine, guys. You don't have to tail it. I'm not forcing anyone to tail these entries. This is going to be the third one. Before I get into the fourth slip, I probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, but these pay 10x, right, guys? So you need to hit 1 out of 10 of these slips to break even. Now, obviously, I hit more often than 1 out of 10 because I'm profitable. So let's say 11% of the time I will hit a 4. So in this video, I have 4 4-mans. So we have a number of trials at 4. We have an 11% probability of success on each trial. And we want at least one of these to hit because we actually want to make some money. You can see there's still only a 37% chance that one of these slips actually hits in tonight's video. So why did I say this? Because don't go putting big money on these slips and expect them to hit. Guys, yes, I do hit, but I don't hit every single day. I don't hit every single slip. So make sure you're tailing these lightly. If you have less than $500 in your Prizepicks account, you should absolutely not be putting more than $5 on these slips. And also don't expect them to hit. Like I said, 37% chance that we cash in tonight's video. That's still a 63% chance that these all chalk. So obviously be careful with these. We're not playing 2-mans here. We're playing 4-mans. Much harder to hit, but much more worth it. That being said, let's get into the last slip. We're going for a quad stack. Same game quad stack here. KC versus Tampa Bay. The first player is going to be Kyle Isbell here on the over half a total base. We're going to be stacking this up with Bobby Witt on his over 1.5 total bases. And then we're going to be stacking that up even more with Vinny on his over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. Now, if we're expecting all of these 3 guys to clear their lines, we're expecting Casey to have a very good game, which means the opponent pitcher, Aaron, is going to go under his pitcher strikeouts. Now, if we go and check this line over on Bet365, you see Aaron set at 4.5, which is great to see. And he has like pretty decent juice towards the over. Now, we're getting him at 5. And why this is so good in this specific entry, I normally don't play push lines in 4-mans. But if this ends up pushing at 5.0, we're just going to get a refund on this slip. Why? Because you're going to have at least 2 different teams within a slip for it not to cancel. And in this case, if this is a push, it's basically a void. So this Tampa player would no longer be in the slip, leaving us only with some KC players. So we have a lot of protection on this slip because if he gets 4 strikeouts or less, we're still going to be able to cash the slip. If he gets exactly 5, we get a push. And obviously, the less strikeouts Aaron's getting, the more likely it is that these guys actually clear their bases prop because his pitch count's going to be higher if these guys are looping through batters. and he might just get taken off earlier if they are scoring a lot of runs. Obviously, these are all good offensive stats. If Bobby Witt is getting a lot of bases, and if Kyle does get us over half a base, it's likely they're looping through batters, it's likely they're scoring more runs, and it's likely Aaron is throwing more pitches and allowing more runs, which means he will pitch less innings and less opportunity for strikeouts. And honestly, I normally go for the 10xer by replacing a hits, runs, RBIs prop with a total bases prop, but in this case, Casey doesn't have any other total bases props other than these two guys here, so I had to improvise and throw in Vinny. This does pay 9x, so it's not a perfect 10x payout, that's still good enough for us, especially because we have that insurance if he does get 5 exact strikeouts. So we're going to lock this in as the last and final slip, guys. Thank you for 4K subs.